Just last week, Niger was seen as the West's most stable ally in the Sahel, the area that sits to the south of the Sahara, and now faces insurgencies and growing Chinese influence. But after the military's ousting of President Mohammed Bazoum, there are looming questions as to what might happen next. How will this affect Niger's relationship with the U.S., and what will happen to the 1,100 American troops there? The American mission in Niger has wide-reaching implications. Here's Reuters U.S. national security correspondent Idris Ali.
There's a situation where Niger has basically playing two roles. Firstly is the counterterrorism training the United States is providing to troops in the country so that they can then go on and do counterterrorism missions in the region. And secondly is the drone base in Agadez, which has come at the cost of over $100 million, where the U.S. essentially flies armed drones from and carries out strikes in the region.
The U.S. military appears to be taking a wait-and-see approach. Pentagon spokesman Pat Ryder on Tuesday told reporters that counterterrorism operations are suspended in Niger, and the U.S. remains in close contact with the military.
Our focus right now is on making sure that our troops continue to stay safe, that we continue to assess the situation. As I mentioned earlier, we continue to support the democratically elected president of Niger, and the situation does remain fluid. We're not going to get into labels other than to say that we will comply with U.S. law, and that we are going to continue to be focused on using diplomatic tools to try to preserve Niger's hard-earned democracy.
So far this year, the U.S. has provided nearly $138 million in humanitarian aid to Niger. But U.S. laws can prohibit almost all assistance to a country if the elected government is deposed in a coup. So to keep the aid flowing, American officials have to be careful how they describe the crisis.
They're not saying it's not a coup, but they're not saying it is a coup. And so the lack of decision essentially becomes a decision. So we've seen instances in the past where diplomacy and national security have trumped up what appears to be very logically a coup.
The U.S. military has so far left its soldiers in place, possibly worried that pulling them out could make things worse.
We've seen the French move a lot of their troops out from parts of Africa, and so there is a concern that there's a vacuum that not only could be filled by militants, but by countries like Russia and China either. So I think there's going to be a real effort to keep the troops there. They are pretty confident that they can keep the troops safe, keep the diplomats safe, and sort of continue what they see as important counterterrorism operations. Even if it might be with a leader who they don't necessarily agree with.
West African regional bloc ECOWAS issued an ultimatum against the new military government, threatening to use force if President Bazoum is not reinstated. But neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, also ruled by military juntas, said they would come to Niger's defense.